My name is Bongiwe Msomi, a recently retired SuperSport captain. I'm a netball manager and coach at the University of Johannesburg. From my time in high school to now, I think women in sports has changed tremendously. It's been really, I think, great to see the changes in terms of, corporates being on board in supporting the women in sports. I think one would have to worry if you think of previous years compared to now. We all know the future of sport is purely determined by the supports I guess every sporting code can get, and it's fantastic to see that now. We will now see ambassadors of sports coming from both, I guess, male and female counterparts, which is really great. I think there's still a lot more that can be done, but the direction is looking very promising, which is quite great for the future, I guess, of sports and women in sport. I think as a woman in sports, probably one of the biggest challenges was to constantly play the sport, obviously without a lot of support. I think I've played at a national level and our sport is still, I guess, amateur sports up to date. To actually have a, I guess, permanent job, have to work, I guess, from 8 to 4 p.m., 5 p.m., doesn't matter the time. So I think that has been really tough. Myself, when I see other athletes, women in sport athletes, I'll have so much respect of, because I would know how much hard work they put in behind the scenes, but also in awkward hours. I know my training sessions had to happen, some of them at 11 p.m, and it's purely because obviously during the day there's a lot that needed to be done, and only when I have the time then I still need to make sure that I fulfill all my duties as a national player especially. I think also just as a starter, as a player, to obviously have, I guess, funds, either to buy, sports clothes, netball shoes, quite expensive, to be able to pay for accommodation, transport. I've been really lucky, to have my coach, like I said, he's been just fantastic in supporting me in everything. I think the biggest challenge will always be women in sports. Hasn't really been funded as much as one would like to, and it really imposes a lot of challenges as you go, because we all know, you kind of need that support to be able to, I guess, go through the journey easier. You still go through it, but it was quite difficult to not have the full support as, I guess, some of the male elite athletes will get. I think the proudest achievement in my career will have to be to represent my country. I think I cannot match that with anything. I remember in 2011 when I was announced as one of the players, I got a shock of my life. I have been a national player, within the age group level, under 21, and I captained the side. But when I was announced as a national player that's going to be, with the SuperSport group to go play World Cup in Singapore 2009, I think that was just the most exciting part. It was scary. Still, obviously, I was still a newbie in the team, but I think that feeling was something that I cannot be able to explain. And as the years went by, I realized each and every year I still felt so excited and so, relieved that my name was announced, because it's something that I always would want to do, to represent my country, especially after I've gone past the time where I was quite shy, had lack of confidence. The more I started building it, the more I worked so hard I want to make the team, I want to represent my country. So that alone has been a massive journey for me. I think I always put in mind that there's so many really great athletes out there, and you only get to be in the 12 that has to go represent your country. And you got so much of young girls and boys having their hopes because they see you, and that to me has been just a highlight. But also leading the side, I cannot take that for granted. That was such an honor. I remember beginning of it, I was like, no, please don't make me captain. As I went by, with having to lead the side, I've learned so much, I guess, about myself first. I've improved a lot in terms of who I was to who I wanted to be as a leader. The group that I worked with was just fantastic. It was just an honor to be part of, such a journey. And even when I look back at it, I just keep thinking, it's something that I would never take for granted. It's changed Bongiwe, but it's also created the fantastic Bongiwe that I'm really pleased, to sit here and be. I think the advice I would give to the young girls who aspire to take up space in the sports industry will probably be, to say you have to be informed. You have to actually educate yourself along the lines of what you want to achieve. Understand what is it that you want to achieve, work hard towards achieving it, and one way or the other, if you really persist and you consistently discipline, you will be able to take up space. And when you do, you'll be ready for it because you'll be more informed and you'll be knowledgeable according to what you obviously want to do. Playing sport for me was just about finding myself fitting into a space that was completely different from who I was before. And with that, I honestly just wanted to figure it out without having to have a lot of influence. So what I've seen at the time has been, it's just been great to see the changes. So with the biases being there, I just constantly wanted to see the positive side of it. And luckily enough, a lot of it in my time has actually changed. The more you look at things in a negative way, I always feel like it's going to be probably as negative, but the more you look at it in the positive ways, it's going to have to work. And to see, if you think of the stereotypes, like the biggest one, like we spoke about this, in terms of corporates being involved in supporting women in sports, that alone has changed. The idea of people seeing women in sport as they're just there to to play socially. I think that alone has changed as well. The more people invest into our sports, even if it's to do with just going there to attend and watch, the better they are informed and the better they understand the sports, which changes a lot of how they used to see the sport itself. So there's a lot that I could say, but I think mine was just to focus on what you were doing, see the positive side of it, and be part of changing the stereotypes. And I think that I can be proud to say I've actually really tried my best to do. My hope for the future of women in sport will be obviously majority of it being professionalized. I think if we could make a career out of the sport as a woman, know that whatever the sporting code you are doing, you have the hope of, if I work hard and I get to this stage, this is where I'll guarantee that this could be my job, like obviously all the other sporting codes that are professional would do. I think that would be great. So to see that type of support, and also to see really women in sport being more assisted in terms of upskilling. So if you don't have to play the sport itself, if you want to be part of certain positions in sport, you're more upskilled and equipped to take on the roles when it happens. I think women in sports can impact their communities outside their sporting achievement, especially by, you get to learn so much, having to go back and think of what were your challenges as a woman in sport. We've got so much, got a lot of them, and try to easy things up for those who are coming after us. I guess in terms of, if you think about the idea of athletes having to take the academics as important. There's a lot that women in sports can actually, play part in educating the athletes along that line. And purely because if our sports, majority of the time, is not professional, you want to have a backup if you stop playing the sports. And that for me has been a crucial part of who I was as a player, but where I am today, it's been purely, the lines or the direction has been smooth based on the idea of the academic part was there. So that for me is crucial, that as women in sport, we really instill the idea of it's not just about sports, it's about an athlete being holistically equipped or developed, both as an athlete and academically. But also there's a lot of initiative that we can take on. I think that for me is the highlight. I think the media presentation has changed so much over the years in terms of sending out information and spreading out a lot of really good things that's to do with women in sports. Women in sport need support, they need to be funded. I think media has really played a crucial part in sharing those messages. There's been a lot of initiatives as well. I guess if I think on top of my head, the G Sports, all those part of groups that have been taking up space to say we are the voice, we're going to speak about this. Women in sport deserves a chance, deserve to be supported. It's media that has been actually sharing all those things. So there's a lot that's been shared, and that's, I think, has been fantastic for the women in sports to be out there and people to recognize them better. I think the sporting industry can take a number of steps to make sure that women in sport are included in spaces. There's a lot of, initiatives or workshops that we sit in, and I think to myself, it'll be great to see more women sitting in these, workshops or upskilling programs. And I think the more we say women in sports deserve to be supported, it should also come with the upskilling part of it. So in case there's space, there's a chance to take up space, you want to take it and be able to execute whatever role, because the athletes that are coming up deserves, better leaders in us or good leaders in us. And the more equipped we can be as women, now that we actually do have a chance of taking up spaces, I think that will be brilliant in future if we can really get there and be informed and be able to execute in our roles, obviously, respectively. I think my involvement in sport have contributed so much in my own development. I think I remember back then when I started playing the sports, I was very shy. Like I honestly had, I won't say lack of confidence. I don't even think I had confidence in myself and my capabilities. At this point, as I played the sport over the years, I've learned to realize that I am good enough. Like I've accepted that, and I worked so hard, but knowing that I'm good enough, which it's changed a lot of things. I think that attitude alone made me enjoy the sport even more, but also realize, where I'm sitting, I have so many opportunities of taking up space and doing it mostly for those who are coming after me, which I really think sport has played a crucial role in changing who Bongiwe was to the Bongiwe who is now. I think my career as a player has taught me so much as a coach. There's a lot of experiences I've experienced over the years as an athlete myself, and thinking about myself being a coach, I know exactly what I would actually like to not do, and actually what I would like to do. I think learning a lot of ways of coaching. There's athletes who would prefer this way of being coached, and there's athletes who prefer the other. And the best part of it is I had a chance of captaining the side over the years to actually understand the athletes better, especially the generation. The now generation is changing. There's a lot of expectations from the athletes themselves. There's different ways they would want to be taught. There's mental health issues that are, coming up, and as a coach, you should be able to, get in line with all those issues so you can be able to get the best out of the athletes. But I also have learned so much about how I used to play, how I used to actually love the sport and the passion and, the guts to constantly just want to, in my head, do the best that I can. And I think that is something that I do instill in the athletes I work with. In terms of knowledge, I've worked with so much really great coaches. I make sure that the stuff that I've learned, I've documented it, and every time I take up, court as a coach, I get really excited and positive and even confidence, because I know I've learned from the best, and to take all of that to the players, I think it's just a privilege, honestly. I think based on how women are viewed in the world, women in sports can actually play a crucial role in terms of, if you do get a position, even if it's not on court, as a woman, you kind of have to really buy in to the system, bring in changes, not just changes, good changes for long term, prove that as women we can lead, we can take up space, and we can be great in those positions. I always say the ones who walk in front of the other are the ones who are actually paving the way. So if we can get women who actually have that chance, doing the best they can to really change up things for the better, it will actually change for the long term as well. I think it's purely, most of the time, it's about the belief that can women do it, and the more women are doing it, the better people start to respect or to want to give women space. The legacy I would like to leave behind, if people can have in their mind or remember, the Bongiwe was inclusive. The Bongiwe was passionate, who actually loved the sport, who gave back to the sport, but also who would do all she could to lead a country at a best level. Probably majority of it should be about how I would bring up, athletes that are coming after me, groom them and give them the space to actually take it on if there's a chance, and to believe in themselves. And also maybe people to actually just choose how to remember Bongiwe. There's a lot of people that I meet along the way, and I wouldn't want anyone to be any limited in terms of how they would want to remember who I was or how I've been throughout the sporting career.